The far-right Republican Party in Chile finished in first place in a nationwide vote to choose members of a committee that will draft a replacement to the current constitution. It will have 22 seats in the 50-member House. Now, it's the second time that voters in Chile have been called to take part in the rewriting of the 1980 constitution. It was adopted during the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet. Last September, a previous text produced by a constitutional assembly made up mostly of political independence was rejected by 62% of voters in Chile. We can now go across to John Bartlett, freelance journalist based in Santiago. John, is this outcome surprising at all?
Surprising, yes, and to an extent, but I also think that this was coming. The shift to the right in Chile has been consolidated over the last couple of years, particularly as we saw the rejection of the previous draft of the constitution. And as you say, the 22 Republicans are going to have a huge say in the direction that Chile goes now. Jose Antonio Cast, who was a defeated Republican Party candidate in the last presidential elections, hailed this as a victory and said that this is the direction that Chileans want to take their country in a more conservative direction.
Now, voting is mandatory where you are, but do ordinary people really care about the drafting of the Constitution?
Yeah, so voting's actually only been compulsory again since December last year. It was a vote that went through in Congress, in a way, trying to tackle the apathy in Chilean politics. I think perhaps it's done the opposite. I think that people turned out to vote yesterday because they had to. I went to a number of polling stations here in Santiago and in a lot of different districts, and everyone told me the same thing, that they were voting because they have to. There were a lot of spoiled ballots as well. I think maybe 17% of the ballots were null and void. So yeah, I don't think we've really solved that problem at all with compulsory voting.
Okay, John, thank you very much for that. John Bartlett reporting there for us from Santiago.